Shout out to my patrons. Want to see your name here? Link is also down in the description.
And here's Bonds. Deals. And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bonds stands alone. He is on top of the all-time home run list.
7:56. The moment Barry Bonds topped Henry Aaron on the all-time home run list. Not just one of the most iconic moments in baseball history, but in sports history. That's just one of the many all-time records and incredible stats Barry Bonds has to his name. He's one of, if not the greatest baseball players of all time. But he just got denied yet again from the Hall of Fame and has now been denied entry 9 straight times and only has one chance left where he will never get in. But why isn't he already in? Before you say it, I'll say it for you. Steroids. He's a cheater. Blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all before, and he's still without a doubt a Hall of Famer to me, and here's why. I have a few reasons, but let's start off with his career before steroids. Barry Bonds is accused of starting his steroids use after the 1998 season. So let's look at his rookie season in 1986 all the way until 1998. In case you can't do the math, I'll do it for you. That's 13 total seasons. 290 average, 411 OBP, 556 slugging, and 966 OPS, with an OPS plus of 164 and 411 home runs, which would still be good enough for 56 on the all-time home run list in just 13 seasons. Oh yeah, and did I mention the 8 gold gloves, 7 silver sluggers, 8 all-star appearances, and 3 MVPs? He could have retired the second after the 98 season ended, and he would have been in the Hall of Fame without a doubt, and no one would have questioned it. Him playing 9 more seasons, winning 4 and nearly 5 more MVPs, hurt him more than it helped him. Of course, no one would be arguing he's the greatest of all time, or honestly, even top 10 at that point, but he'd be in the Hall of Fame. Let's actually look at what is called the quote-unquote steroid era in Major League Baseball. Now, there is no official start and end year of the steroid era, but it's generally believed to be during the late 80s into the mid-2000s. Players have, of course, taken steroids and other PEDs before and after this era, but this is when it was most popular. There are so many recognizable names that were involved in this era. Alex Rodriguez, Mark McGwire, Manny Ramirez, Gary Sheffield, Jason Giambi, Sammy Sosa, and of course Barry Bonds are just the biggest hitters that were caught during this era. On the other side of baseball, Andy Pettitte, Roger Clemens, and Eric Gagne were some of the biggest pitching names involved too. I'm not saying it was right just because everyone was doing it, but it was almost a fair game since everyone was doing it. Don't get it? That's okay. Let's put it this way. Let's say, for example, Barry Bonds is in the batter's box and Roger Clemens is on the mound while both of them are taking steroids. It's not right that they're taking those steroids, but it's a fair matchup since both of them are taking those steroids. Hope that helps. Now, don't actually do this, please, but just imagine you go and take steroids right now. What do you think will happen? Maybe they'll get some bigger muscles, or you'll just experience some side effects, or maybe a little bit of both. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you, but I can tell you what won't happen. You won't become good enough to play Major League Baseball. People have this idea in their heads that steroids are this magical drug that can help you to become an all-time great baseball player, or even any good baseball player at all. But in reality, they won't get me or any of you guys watching any closer to the big leagues. Let me be clear, I'm not saying steroids don't help you play better, but here's what they can do. Quote, scientists say they do not believe steroids improve hand-eye coordination, but they agree the drugs help build strength. Some say that steroids would also quicken bat speed. Better bat speed gives the hitter more time to wait on a pitch to read it and follow it. The player most likely has an extra split second to decide what pitch is approaching and whether he wants to swing at it, end quote. That's from the New York Times. So yes, they help you hit more home runs and see pitches a tiny bit better, but if you can't hit 95 right now, you aren't going to be able to hit 95 after you take them. There are many minor league players who take steroids or other banned drugs, and they don't even make it to the big leagues. Steroids help you, but they don't make you one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and in my opinion, the greatest baseball player of all time. But hey, let's just say you still think he was only good because of steroids. You're wrong, but you do you. But you can't deny how feared he was among MLB pitchers. He was so feared that this actually happened.
In the decade of the 90s, has more home runs, more RBIs, more runs scored than that man.
And they're logging him with the bases loaded
It was an all-time ballsy move by Arizona, but it worked.
Here comes 3-2 pitch. Line to right field, but right there is the right fielder to make the catch, and Arizona has won.
Well, barely. This wasn't exactly his first intentional walk either. There might be a day when a player hits 763 to break Bonds' home run record, but the one record that will never be broken of his is the number of intentional walks. Barry Bonds had 688 career intentional walks, which is more than double of Albert Pujols, who is currently in second place, with 312. A couple other crazy Barry Bonds stats for you. As you know, he has the all-time home run record, 762, but he still came up 65 hits short of that magical 3,000. He of course retired in 2007 at the age of 42, but he easily could have kept playing for probably another 5+ years since he showed no signs of slowing down from his MVP years. 276, 480 OBP, 565 and 1045 OPS, 28 home runs, and oh yeah, another 43 times he was intentionally put on base. There was even some quiet talks last year that a team should sign him to be their DH in 2020. Of course that never happened, but that would have been absolutely incredible to see if a team actually would have signed him. Earlier in the video I showed Roger Clemens versus Barry Bonds, which should have been between two Hall of Famers, but one of the best battles in MLB history is between Barry Bonds and Eric Gagne, the Cy Young winner of the previous year, the best reliever in baseball, versus the MVP of that year and the past 3 years. This one was one for the ages.
Center field, this baby's gonna go
And of course, Bonds won the battle, just like he won nearly 61% of his battles from that year. Hate him or love him, you can't talk about MLB's history without Barry Bonds. His 2001 and 2004 stretch is the greatest stretch of all time. 349, 559, 809, 1368, an OPS plus of 256, 209 home runs, and the craziest one is 284 intentional walks, which would be number 5 on the all-time intentional walks list in just 4 seasons alone. Him hitting 73 home runs in 2001 is another record that still stands and will for a very long time, if not forever. Oh yeah, he also won 4 straight MVPs. So you can call him a cheater, but at the end of the day, Barry Bonds needs to be in the Hall of Fame because he is the greatest baseball player of all time.